Hi, I'm Camille Gaines. Here on this channel, Retire Certain, and on my website, retirecertain.com, I share our adventure from beginning in around age 50, going from a scary and uncertain financial future to complete financial independence, using both traditional investments like stocks and bonds, as well as alternative income strategies and retirement methods that are pretty much ignored in traditional retirement planning. What I learned along the way was, well, a whole bunch, but I've sort of summarized it in this video series that is really presenting why an alternative retirement plan is so important now, and why it's important to move toward that, to realize it, to see how you can move toward it, the opportunities that are presenting themselves. And the first thing I want to share with you is that the reason the old plan is really questionable is things have changed. Number one, we're living longer than we used to live when that old retirement method was invented. The second reason is because interest rates, which used to be kind of the staple of retirement planning, we would have bonds for a large portion of our portfolio, and that would pay us income for life. Well, interest rates are gone. They're non-existent, and we can't count on that. So how can we use that dated old plan that was, say, 60% bonds and 40% stocks or whatever it was after you retire, so you have that income? We can't count on it. Not only that, the stock market yields are extremely low as well. So we don't have that income that we used to have from our retirement portfolios, our retirement accounts. We don't have it. It's gone. It's not happening. Not only that, we don't know what's going to happen with inflation. We've been very fortunate to have low inflation over the last few years. I have to mention that the inflation numbers that we get don't include everything, so inflation could be higher than what is being represented to us at just under 2%. But having said that, there have been years where inflation has been 5%, 6%. Inflation went over 13% in 1980. So what if that happens again? And at the forefront of all this is the Fed monetary intervention is inflationary. It leads to inflation. So hello, all of this is screaming for us to look at a different way and make sure we've got some other things going so we can have enough money to fund how we want to live for life. So that's sort of what we did, but it was way before all this other stuff started happening. We simply realized that all these other people that were creating income and building wealth from alternative assets like real estate and or small business, and we decided to venture into that instead of just relying on retirement income from stocks and bonds in the future and or retirement withdrawals of 4% that we didn't want to certainly start making as young as we were when we stumbled into early retirement. So that's the first factor, is those reasons why we have to make a shift to something that's different from the old way. The second reason I'm going to refer to my notes is this is really huge, and it's a really big advantage, okay? We have incredible information at our fingertips as individual investors nowadays. We can do investment research that is absolutely incredible. We can make investments through any number of online platforms. I used to subscribe to Valueline investment survey, but by the time I got that information to do stock analysis, it may have been three weeks old, 4 weeks old, right? Now, up to the minute, we have up to the minute reliable financial information on all types of investments. Not only that, we have platforms that we can use to invest in that have incredible data that is we can invest in ways that are data-driven, not model-driven, not asset allocation. Oh, put 60% into stocks and 40% in bonds because you're, 50 years old or whatever. Instead, we can get the data that we need to make investment decisions that are more tactical, that are I would say more likely to lead to higher returns with less risk. And if we don't want to do it ourselves, well, guess what? We can hire someone that specializes in this. So because of the information that's now available to us, we can take advantage of this. So it's a shift away from the old way of doing things where we had to rely on those old dated paper services like I used to get, right? To instant information where we can make empowered choices, yet I question if everyone is taking advantage of this. All right, the third shift away into more alternative retirement planning is the fixed plan, regardless of information, versus something that's more evolving and more organic. And this capitalizes or kind of follows up on that last point that I made. And again, there's that model that so many people are still married to, that asset allocation of 40, 50, 60% in stocks, 70% in stocks, the rest in bonds, and that's all that there is, versus a more evolving and organic investing methodology or even retirement plan that says, well, wait a minute, I've noticed that the Federal Reserve has been printing money basically, for the past decade, and I'm concerned about inflation. So I think instead of just doing that 40%, bonds, 60% stock thing and index funds, I'm going to invest in something that is an inflation hedge that will protect me in the event that inflation does happen, which is typical of federal intervention like we've seen lately. So it's more organic, it's more evolving. It's saying in March of 2009 or maybe a year later even. It doesn't have to be perfect timing. I see stocks are incredibly undervalued, and I think it makes sense to increase my weighting, my investments in stocks. Or I see that bonds are subject to inflation. It's about something that's evolving and organic based on what's happening right now in our economy, the things that are happening that will probably affect what's going to happen in the future. We don't know for sure, but one of my favorite investing words is probability. It's likely that these things will happen. And so we have to evolve. We have to be organic and not just be married to those fixed old ways of doing things. All right, the next thing I want to share with you is really important, and it's the thing that I said about you have to do this one in order to consider any of the other ones as possibility. It sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's simply moving from limited and scarcity thinking to more abundant and opportunistic thinking. Let me expand on this a little bit more, because I know it does sound woo-woo, but it's huge, right? Because when we plan and think from that whole thing of, when I retire, I'm gonna really buckle down and cut my expenses by 30%. I'm not gonna have the things I want, but that's okay, because I don't want to run out of money, and I knew this was coming, and this is just what we do in retirement, right? And then I've got the Social Security and whatever else that's limited, perhaps an annuity product that's subject to the creditworthiness of the insurance company, which is pretty reliable, right? But whatever it is, it's limited, and it leads to scarcity thinking. Look at the difference between that and saying, I have these assets, I have these skills, I know that these are possibilities because I see all these other people doing it. And I think that at least one of these things is an option for me to increase my income and or build wealth, so that it's more likely I won't run out of money, or maybe I won't have to withdraw 4% a year from my retirement account to live. So what else can I get going here based on what it is I want in my life? Look at the difference in that, right? When we shift from that limited thinking of only these options and only these possibilities to opportunities that can happen, that we can create simply by shifting our perspective. Now, yes, you've got to take action. It's work. Has this stuff that we've done been easy? No. Has it taken effort? Yes. Has it been incredibly exciting and fun and fulfilling? Yes, it has been. And would I choose it always over just, settling or saying, well, I've got to stick with this because this is what's been done for the last 2 or 3 decades, and historically it's worked based on past and da-da-da. No, I can't remember how I asked that question, but I think this is awesome that we have these alternative retirement plans now because of all these opportunities. We live in a time of incredible opportunities for us to create financial independence moving forward. If you found this information helpful and liked it, you'll like the information in this video, so watch it next.